Welcome everybody to the Wolf Mindset podcast. It's Ian Q here, and tonight we are joined with Jeff Ayres, and I am extremely excited to talk to Jeff because we met each other through an anxiety group about 3 years ago, and I was inspired by Jeff's post. Jeff, in a minute I'm going to introduce you, but just before we start, I'd just like to explain what the issues I used to find with some of these anxiety groups, if that's okay, buddy. I was a
Mhm.
hypnotherapist going into these anxiety groups looking to help people, but not even selling anything, but just when I saw somebody who had issues, I would put a post up saying, these are some techniques you can use. And I was outcasted from a lot of the groups because they saw I was a hypnotherapist and they went, "No, we don't want your kind here." And I thought this is the kind of people you would like to have here. But there was one group which I saw that you was able to come at a different angle, where people were saying, "I've got anxiety." Jeff, you had a different angle because you're not a hypnotherapist or a therapist of a kind. You are someone who came along with a post which said, "Listen, you can beat it. This is what you've got to do with your mindset, and this is the proof." And I remember messaging you saying, "Wow, what a story that is." And that is how I'd like to start this podcast tonight by saying, "Welcome, Jeff. How are you? How's life?" And let's talk about that journey that you've been on.
Hey, thanks for having me. Everything is good. Life is good.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, everything's rolling right along, man.
Where are you in America, Jeff?
I am in the middle of America in Kansas.
Yeah. How's it over
Right.
there? Good?
Oh, yeah, it's good. No, it actually got cold last night. Our low was 18 degrees. So we went into winter, but no, don't worry. It'll be 90 degrees again Saturday.
Okay. So you'll be sweating quite a lot then on
Yeah.
Saturday then,
Yeah.
yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
So Jeff, so tell us about these anxiety groups. You used to do these posts. I don't know
Mhm.
whether you want to start at the end or you want to start at the beginning, because that's how I met you, was these posts saying this is how I've done it.
Mhm.
So tell us about that part. You used to support people, didn't you, in relation to
Yeah,
their
I did.
chronic?
I joined some of those groups trying to figure out a way to alleviate some of the stuff that came along with that anxiety. And after I figured out what I needed to do to face my fear and get rid of it and get over the anxiety, I stayed in those groups and I tried to encourage people and tell people that it's not something that's you just have to learn to deal with or you have to learn to live with. From my experience, it's something that you can totally get rid of if you just face the fear that's driving the anxiety.
Yeah. And what kind of reception did you get from the people you were trying to help and the groups over there? Tell us about some of the reception you got from your post.
Like a lot of individual people reached out and asked questions and were very appreciative of it. But it seemed like the people who ran the groups, like the administrators, it's almost like they didn't really, it's like they wanted a place to just go and feel sorry for themselves and have
Mm,
people come and feel sorry for themselves like a victim.
yeah.
And they didn't really want to deal with somebody who was giving real advice.
What do you think that is, Jeff? You got an opinion on that? Why do you reckon they want a place that people can feel and be that victim?
I don't know. Maybe it's just kind of a sign of the times. Maybe I know it seems like people get rewarded for being a victim nowadays.
Mm,
And it's just too easy to fall into that and blame somebody else for your situation, or you can even blame somebody for your anxiety. Oh, this causes me anxiety. Everything to me comes down to a personal choice. And I think that's probably one of the things. It's just a sign of the times and it seems to be everywhere.
yeah. Yeah. Do you reckon it's a culture change then, a change in societies that we have?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
So describe then, Jeff, describe what happened to yourself then. How did your anxiety come about?
I cannot tell you when it started, but I can tell you, I lived with it for a decade and
Uh,
panic attacks and out of nowhere, just the heart would race and sweat and tremble. And like I say, I lived with it for a decade. I tried medication. I tried all kinds of different stuff and nothing worked. And I just got pissed and decided that I was going to physically get myself in to the best shape I could get into and start attacking my mental state. Because I remember having conversations, even when I was having a panic attack, I'd say if I knew what it was, couldn't stop it. But if it's strong enough to create physical symptoms and strong enough to alter me, then how come I'm not strong enough to stop it? And I never could really answer that question until I physically challenged it. And that was for me, was to go out and physically challenge my body. And that's what drove that away.
Wow, that is a powerful way of looking at it. If this is powerful enough to do this to my body, and looking at it in that way as how can I be powerful enough to overcome it?
Yeah.
So tell us about, we're going to listen to about your amazing journey from that place to that recovery. Tell us about how anxiety used to affect you. We did a little podcast a few weeks ago because I was interested in the fact that anxiety doesn't always look clear for everybody. It affects people in different ways. Some people might
Mhm.
want to avoid places. Some people might get frustrated or angry or lash out. And it really can affect people in different ways because it's part of our survival brain. So how did it affect you? What did it make you do or what not, or make you avoid?
It really made me avoid doing anything of the physical nature for fear that I'd have some big medical problem or some heart problem or something. It shut me down when it came to being physically active, and it kept me from doing lots of activities.
Yeah. When you say activities, how extreme did that
It
get?
got to the point where I didn't want to do anything where I was walking or doing regular things like that. It didn't affect me, but I didn't want to do anything where I would exert any energy.
And what was your mind telling you that if you did that, what was your mind saying?
It was always basically saying, what if? What if you hurt yourself? What if you get your heart rate up and you can't recover? What if? That's basically, to me, that's what the anxiety always was. It was, what if the worst thing that you can think of happens?
Yeah. And you could quite clearly picture that what if, could you, every time you had it
Yeah,
and imagine it.
pretty much. Yeah. And then it manifested into just coming out of nowhere. I could just be sitting on the couch and it would just come out of nowhere.
What if, what the thoughts?
Yeah. Yeah. Just the thoughts. It's just like it had a hold of me.
All right. So you could be sitting there, like you said, what, at home, and it just happened.
Yeah, not doing anything, not thinking about anything, nothing. I could be at a movie theater and it would just happen.
And when you say it just happened, what was there a regular thought that happened when you had that happen?
Yeah, the symptoms would start and you would just start to panic and I could not figure out why.
Yeah.
There was nothing. I wasn't in any imminent danger of anything, which would trigger normal sort of panic, but I never could figure out why it would just happen out of nowhere.
Mhm. So you had these what ifs, you had these thoughts, but also you had panic and it could hit you at any point.
Yeah.
Now, if I can ask you, Jeff, you don't have to answer this, but if I can ask you, can you describe what that panic felt like? How did it affect you physically?
Yep. Heart would race. I would have all the physical symptoms that a lot of people describe with their anxiety. I'd break out in a sweat and then I would think, man, what is wrong with me? There's something wrong with me.
Mm,
And then that would just build on that what if. Say, what if it's this? What if it's that? What if it's this? And then it would lead to the point, check your heart rate. Your heart rate's 105, which isn't really all that high, right?
yeah.
But it would feel like your heart's beating out of your chest. And then the more you deal with that, the more it just kept down.
Wow. So there's a turning point, though, Jeff. This is what I love about your story. There's a turning point where you went, that's enough's enough. Right.
Yes.
Was there a specific time that you can remember, or you just
Yeah.
decided what happened there?
I was tired of it. And I asked myself these questions. I don't know if you can hear my dogs barking in the background. I apologize if you
So
can.
they wanted to come in and give you some support, Jeff.
Yeah, I don't know what they're hollering at. They're upstairs. Normally they do when somebody's here, but there shouldn't be anybody here. I just remember always asking myself, could always remember back to the time when I didn't have panic attacks. And I always knew that if I could remember a time when I didn't have them and I didn't have anything physically wrong with me because the doctors checked me out from head to toe and said I was fine, then I had to be creating 100% of it. And if I was creating it based off of my fear of exerting myself, then I remember going in the gym and I pretty much said, fuck it. It's either going to be, the fear is going to be right and I'm going to keel over on the treadmill, or I'm going to keep going and get stronger and get better. And I just went after it, and I still haven't stopped to this day.
Wow. Now we've got some Wolfpack members here, and I say that's a very brave way of facing it, isn't it? Because
Yes.
do or die, isn't it? And that is
Yeah.
you've had to face that fear, because if you've got, say, health anxiety, which is if I do this could happen, the worst case scenario, I could keel over. It's enough to stop people from doing something for the rest of their life.
Yes.
And you
Forever.
went, I've gone to the doctor, they give me this evidence, and I'm going to face it head on.
Yes.
Wow. So what happened
Did
then
it.
from that point? So what happened?
I changed my diet. I kept exercising. I started getting stronger. I started feeling better. And I can't even remember when, but I remember going in the gym one day and I finished a workout and I was exhausted. And I sat down to change my shoes. And I thought in my head, I'm like, I can't remember the last time I had a panic attack. I can't remember the last time I had any anxiety symptoms. And it's at that point, it was like a boxing match. I felt like it was a boxing match and my hand got raised because I just won by KO, because it hasn't been back ever since.
Nothing at all.
No, not a thing. Nothing.
Amazing. So you went through this for 10 years.
Yeah.
You got checked out. Doctor said, no, you're good. You're good to go.
Yeah. More than once. I went to a doctor thinking I had something wrong, and he told me, no, you're healthy. You're fine.
Yeah.
Get out and exercise. He even told me, get out and exercise. You're okay to exercise.
Yeah. So the first time you did that, what was that like? The first time you did that exercise?
Yeah, it was
Uh,
pretty rough. I'll be honest with you. It was rough
mm.
because all the what if stuff was still pretty strong, had a pretty good hold.
You got to do exercise that your body's probably not used to because of the anxiety. And
Yeah.
so your body's, this is all new. The feelings, the lungs, the puffing of the air, your heart beating, racing,
Yeah.
with something
Oh,
going
yeah.
in your head saying, this could be it.
Yeah. Yeah. It most definitely. It just kept saying, what if you push yourself too hard? What if you keep going and you can't recover?
Wow. So you went on this journey and then suddenly one day you're tying up your shoes and so I've got a mobile phone next to me which plays a duck sound. So we've got dogs in it and ducks over it.
Yeah.
So you're tying up your shoes one day and you go, I can't remember last time I had an attack. How long do you reckon it took you to get from that first time doing that fitness and having those what ifs to that point where you just suddenly think, oh wow, when was the last time? How long was that
Yeah.
gap?
If I had to guess, because
Yeah.
it seems really blurry right now to try to remember back, but it was probably maybe 3 or 4 months.
Wow. Yeah. When you look at the grand scheme of things, 10 years of having something to 3 or 4 months to changing that, pretty incredible. And it got easier and easier each time you did it? So,
Yes, it did. The more I kept at it and the more I kept challenging myself and pushing past what I felt like my limits were, the less I dealt with it. And then, like I say, that one day, it just dawned on me. I couldn't remember the last time, and I still can't.
yeah. So I'm gonna ask you a question, Jeff. I don't know if you'd better answer this, but I'm gonna ask anyway. You said that when you first started doing it, which was what if, for you to overcome that, you must have had another counterpart which was driving you forward. Do
Yeah.
you remember what that part was telling you or how that felt that was driving you past that fear? And the part of going, this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen, or this could happen. What made you drive that hard past that fear?
I think it was just, I was fed up living with it like I had done for a decade. And I always knew where I'm at now. I always knew I was capable of doing in my head. I knew that. I know that sounds weird that you
Mm,
know it, but you still have the anxiety
yeah,
because, like I say, I mean, from all the research I've done, we're not born with these fears. We're born with the fear of loud noises and we're born with the fear of falling. Everything
that's it.
else is a learned behavior. So I knew that I programmed myself this way. And I felt like the only way I could change that programming or rewire myself was to challenge myself physically.
Yeah. So 3, 4 months later, you're saying, "I can't remember," right? And
Mm.
I can still recall the gym pictures of yourself. So tell us about your journey in health as well. So you talked about the anxiety health, but what about your physical health as well? What changed there?
Gosh, I can't remember how much weight I lost there originally. I think I was around 290 pounds and I got down to around 200. Just physically, I felt better. I was eating whole foods. I was drinking water. I wasn't drinking soda and other crap. And I was minimizing my alcohol consumption and I was exercising 6 and 7 days a week. And man, I felt 100% better.
Yeah.
I was actually pissed that I didn't do it when I was in my 30s. I started this when I was in my 40s.
Yeah. So that must be a difficult thing because we don't want to have regrets in life, do we? So we should
No,
always look forward. So I would say that the fact that another side of that coin, isn't it? That you started in your 40s, not your 50s.
yeah, no, that's true. You
Yeah.
can always be great. Yes.
Yeah. Or your 60s, or never have done it at all.
Or
Never have
never.
discovered it. Never discovered it.
Yeah.
Had a life where this is the only thing that you knew.
Yeah.
And that's why every time we do get the opportunity to talk, I'll always enjoy our conversation. I really do. So if you had some advice to somebody else going through it, especially health anxiety, what would you suggest to them start off doing or to think about or to read what would you say?
I would say just first of all, get checked out by a medical professional. I'm definitely not a doctor, and make sure that you don't have anything really going on. And most people are going to be just fine. And if the doctor tells you you're okay and you check out, then you got to believe what he's telling you. And then you got to just get moving. You have to just get going.
Yeah.
And you can plan all you want. And you can, you know, have the best intentions, but you got to step into it and get going.
Yeah. That's really good advice. 10 years you lived with anxiety, and now you've lived with anxiety for how long has it now been altogether?
Man, I think it's been, I would say over 4 years.
4 years. That's brilliant, mate. That is brilliant.
Yeah.
So apart from the fitness side, what else can you now do which you couldn't do before? What would you never have done but now doing?
Oh, wow. In late 2018, I started training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
And I've been fairly consistent with that. Gosh, anything physical. I enjoy going to the gym. I enjoy going for a jog. Just a lot of things that I wouldn't have dreamed of doing. And then of course, everyday life is way better with the physical part of it.
Yeah.
I don't wake up sore and I'm able to do anything I want to do around the house and not have to take a bunch of ibuprofen for.
Brilliant. So any questions from our wolf pack?
I haven't got a question now. I just think I'm really very interesting. Thank you, Jeff. Thanks
Oh,
for
you bet.
telling us your story. It was really good. Thank you. Yeah. Makes me want to get out and do a little bit more.
Jeff, the way you've summed it up is you've managed to jam pack this podcast quite quickly with all the amazing information. I think within the time that we've spoken, somebody listening to this who's got any kind of health anxiety, I think is going to have a lot of confidence just listening to this very short journey, long journey, but you've managed to cram it in quite factual. And I think that's going to be really good for people.
Yeah, definitely. There's not a whole lot to really tell. Just yeah, it's pretty much everything. I don't even know how long we've been on. 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Oh no, we've done 25 minutes, buddy.
Have we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Doesn't seem
Your
like
strength
Yeah.
of mind, though, your strength of mind to be able to focus yourself and actually take the bull by the horn and do it. It's really good. Really inspirational.
I think that's one of, as Bev was saying, I think that's one of my most intriguing question, which was the first time you do it, where you've got a part of your voice saying, "What if?" And that's been doing it for 10 years, and now you're doing exactly what it doesn't want you to do. You're actually doing the fitness. You're going through it. How you manage to overcome that at that point, where everything in part of your body, your mind, the way it's conditioned says stop. And I think that is what's really inspirational, is how you got over that. Everything in every cell of your body is saying, no, you can't do it.
Yeah. And man, and I think everybody has that within. I don't think I'm any different than anyone else. And I really think everybody has the capability of putting their mindset into whatever it is they want to do. But it's just getting to the point where you're ready to really commit to doing it and follow through every day.
Yeah. And let's keep it. Do do you have to keep it up as well, Jeff? Is there anything that you continue to do to make sure that you're in check?
Yeah, I still hit the gym. I still have thresholds. My personal thresholds I have to hit when I'm doing my cardio, so many calories, and I have to get my heart rate so high and I have to hold at a certain rate for so long. It's just being consistent with that every day. And honestly, I found out too that if you develop a routine, if you get your mind and your body into a routine every day, then things are, been, as far as my mental aspect, a lot more clear and I'm a lot more focused.
Yeah. That is a great way to sum it up, Jeff. So I'm going to end it on that really good note, buddy. And I want to say thank you again, Jeff. It's been a
Yeah,
real
my pleasure.
privilege to have you.
Thank you, Jeff.
My pleasure. You guys have a great evening.